The astonishing legend of Fintan mac Bochra, who escaped the Great Flood to become the first man in Ireland. In Irish mythology, Fintan mac Bochra, modern spelling FIntan, F-I-O-N-N-T-A-N. He was known as the Wise. He was a seer who accompanied Noah's granddaughter, Cessair, to Ireland before the deluge. So this man, Fintan or Fiontan mac Bochra, was a pre-flood man, accompanying Noah's granddaughter, Cessair, Cessair, to Ireland. This took place before the deluge, the Great Flood. Bochra may be his mother or may be a poetic reference to the sea. He was one of only 3 men in the expedition along with 50 women, so he, Cessair's father Bith, and the pilot Ladra had 16 wives each. They had to populate the new land, you see. Fintan's wives are named Cessair, Lot, Luam, Mal, Mar, Froecar, Femar, Fable, Forol, Kipri, Torian, Tamal, Tam, Abba, Allah, Baikni, and Seal. He married Ebliu later. His only son was Ilan, Illann. His wives and children were drowned when the flood arrived, but he survived in the form of a salmon. You see, he was a shapeshifter. He arrived in the form of a salmon, remaining a year under the waters in a cave called Fintan's Grave. He then turned into an eagle, and then a hawk, and then back to human form. He lived for 5,500 years after the deluge, becoming an advisor to the kings of Ireland. In the capacity he gave advice to the Firbolg, King Eochaid mac Éirc, when the Tuatha de Danann invaded and fought in the first battle of Mag Tuired. He survived in the time of Fionn mac Cumhaill, becoming the repository of all knowledge of Ireland and all history, along with a magical hawk, who was born at the same time as him. They meet at the end of their lives and recount their stories to each other. They decide to leave the mortal realm together sometime in the 5th century, after Ireland was converted to Christianity, as we know, by St. Patrick, the first bishop of Ireland. Due to Fintan mac Bochra's ability to shapeshift into a salmon and his honorific title as the Wise, Fintan mac Bochra is sometimes confused with a similarly named animal figured in Irish mythology, more commonly known and referred to as the Salmon of Wisdom. The legend of Fintan mac Bochra, who escaped the Great Flood and became the first man in Ireland. His relationship to the granddaughter of biblical Noah. The story how he escaped the Great Flood and traveled to the land of destiny known as Innis Fail, meaning Ireland, are fascinating accounts of the past. And this is him here. Fintan mac Bochra. Fintan mac Bochra escaped the Great Flood, came to Ireland. This is an image by Keith Parkinson. Now, according to the Lebhar Gabhala Book of Invasions, also called the Book of Conquests, Fintan mac Bochra, also known as the Wise, was a seer who was married to Lady Cessair. When Cessair was a young girl, only 10 years old, an Egyptian priest warned her of a coming catastrophe. He told her to gather a group of women and try to escape. Cessair built 3 arks and filled them with women who all possessed different skills. Her father, Bith, came along with 2 other men, but they were not allowed to enter the ark unless they acknowledged Cessair as their leader. So they did so, and they were brought to safety. In the poem, Fintan describes how he survived the flood when all other perished by hiding in the hill of Tuanthina over the river Shannon. They sailed for 7 years before they reached Ireland. That was unpopulated at the time. It was the year 2361 BC, according to the Annals of the Four Masters, but only one ship had survived the epic journey, this containing 50 women and 3 men. Among the survivors was FIntan mac Bochra. Upon arrival in Ireland, the women were divided into 3 groups. Each of the groups took one of the men to populate the new country that was now their homeland. They also divided up the sheep they had brought with them. That's a story how the first sheep reached Ireland. Lady Cessair was together with FIntan mac Bochra, and in time she became a great warrior. She became a great warrior woman. Now, also mentioned in many ancient Irish myths and legend are shapeshifters, and the story of FIntan mac Bochra is no exception. This is on ancient pages. Now, as for the wife of FIntan mac Bochra, Cessair, or Cessair, or spelled Ceasair, like Cessair, the modern Irish Anglicanized Cessair, is a character, as we said, from the Lebor Gabála Éireann, the medieval Christian pseudo-history of Ireland. According to the Lebor Gabála, she was a leader, as we said, of the first inhabitants of Ireland before the biblical flood, the deluge. The tale may be an attempt to Christianize an earlier pagan myth, but may alternatively be the product of post-conversion pseudo-history. Now, the overview is, according to the LGE legend, Cessair was the daughter of Noah, non-biblical son Bith, and his wife Birin. Cessair's father's name Bith appears to be derived from Old Celtic Bitu, which was a common prefix in Gaulish and insular kings' names, as has the meaning of the word of world, life, or age in Old Irish. In some versions of the tale, Noah tells them to go to the western edge of the world to escape the oncoming flood. In other versions, when their people are denied a place on Noah's Ark, Cessair tells them to make an idol to advise them. This idol tells them to escape the flood by sailing to Ireland. They set out in 3 ships and reach Ireland after a long journey. However, when they attempt to land, 2 of the ships are lost. The only survivors are Cessair, 49 other women, and 3 men, FIntan mac Bochra, Bith, and Ladra. They land in Ireland at Dun na Mabark, or on Mount Trebay, 40 days before the flood. In Age of the World 2242, according to the Annals of the Four Masters, or that's 2361 BC, according to Satan's chronology. The men are shared out evenly among the women. Each also takes one as her primary husband. Cessair takes FIntan mac Bochra, Firfine takes Bith, and Alba takes Ladra. However, Bith and Ladra soon die, Ladra becoming the first man buried in Ireland. FIntan is left with all the women, but is unable to cope, so he flees. When the flood comes, FIntan is the only one to survive. He becomes a salmon and later an eagle and a hawk, living for 5,500 years after the flood, whence he becomes a man again and recounts Ireland's history. According to legend, Cessair died at Cul Kesra in Connaught and in Carn Kesra was raised over her body. It has been said that this cairn is near Boyle in County Roscommon, or alternatively that it is Knock Medha in County Galway. This is according to Lynch in 2006. An earlier version of this tale, apparently found in the Syndroma Snectae, says that it was Bamba, B-A-N-B-A, who first came to Ireland with her 2 sisters, 3 men and 50 women. Banba Fodla, and Eriu were a trio of land goddesses, and their husbands were Maccool, son of Hazel, Mackecht, son of the plough, and Macgrain, son of the sun. It is likely that Cessair, Berfind, and Alba are the Christianized replacement for the three goddesses of Fintan, Bith, and Ladra, and replacement for the three gods. Fintan Maccuil may also be likened to the salmon of knowledge, which gains all the world's knowledge after eating 9 hazelnuts that fall into a well. The women who accompanied Cessair appear by their names to represent the world's ancestral mothers. They include Germans, Espa, Spanish, Alba, the British, Traeg, the Thracians, Gothium, the Goths, and so forth. Thus, their arrival can be read as creating a microcosm of the whole world's population in Ireland. Espa, as we said, population in Ireland. Several other companions echo the names of ancient Irish goddesses. Cithrun, Satan, also refers, Caitin, Ceitinn, also refers to a legend that 3 fishermen from Iberia, meaning Spain, Kappa, Lagna, and Luasad, were driven to Ireland by a storm a year before the flood. They liked it, so they went home to get their wives, returned shortly before the flood, and were drowned. According to another medieval Irish legend, Cessair is also the name of the daughter of the king of Gallia, that's France, who married the High King of Ireland, Ugain Mór, in the 6th or 5th century BC. Mallory has a slightly different version where there were 150 women and 3 men. The first man died and was buried in Wexford. The second man now had 100 women and soon died of exhaustion. The 150 women then chased the remaining man, who saved himself by jumping into the sea and turning into salmon. Can you imagine one man with 150 women? Now, the mythology of the first settlers of Ireland then goes to their successor, Partholon. That seems to be a Greek name. Partholon, modern spelling Partholan, is a character in medieval Irish Christian pseudo-history. According to tradition, he's the leader of the second group of people who settled in Ireland in Muintir Partholoin, the people of Partholon. They arrived on the inhabited island about 300 years after Noah's flood, after the Great Deluge, and are responsible for introducing such things as farming, cooking, brewing, and building. After some years, they all died of the plague in 1 week. The tale is probably an invention of Christian writers. Partholon comes from the biblical name Bartholomeus or Bartholomew, the son of Ptolemaeus, and may have been borrowed from a character who appeared in the Christian pseudo-histories of Saint Jerome and Isidore of Seville. The earliest surviving references to Partholon is in the Historia Britonum, 9th century British Latin compilation attributed to one Nennius. It says that Ireland was settled 3 times by 3 different groups, with Partholomus and his followers being the first. It says he came to Ireland from Iberia with 1,000 followers who multiplied there until there were 4,000, and they all died of the plague in 1 week. I'll leave links below for you for this. It's fascinating legend, mythology. There's always a little bit of truth in legend, and who knows. So this is interesting, isn't it? I'll leave links below for you for this.